All right, how's everybody doing? Wow, there's a lot of you here. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate this. My name is Sammy. I am a live electronic performer. I improvise and produce my music live whenever I play, and basically jam out on my gear here and loop stuff live. And it is from my experience doing that show that I bring you this workshop on how to produce music quickly. Before we begin, just want to get a sense of where everybody's at who's in here. How many of you guys have actually consider yourselves to be producers? Cool, a fair number of you. Thank you. How many of you guys have dabbled in production okay, more of you. And how many of you guys are just curious about production and kind of want to get a sense of what it's all about? Cool. Some people from all levels here. Wonderful. So this workshop is going to focus almost entirely on the creative side of music production, and should be accessible to everybody who's here. Cool. So before we get into the meat of this presentation here, I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal rules for myself when I approach production, and yeah, we'll just go there. The first and most important rule is that there are no rules with music production. You can do whatever you want, and really, your imagination should be the only thing that limits you. A lot of people might come to production and assume that they need to create that typical pop formula of, here's an intro, and we're going to go from that into a verse of sorts, and then have a chorus type thing, and then another verse, and then another chorus type thing. And that's fine if you want to create pop music, and if that style of music is great for you and what you want to do. But you don't need to do that if you don't want to. You can do whatever you want. And especially with software like this, there is no limits. So that's the single most important thing that I'd say to keep in mind with production. You are the mastermind, and anything you want to do is possible. The second most important takeaway for me would be to treat production as a very playful thing. When I come to produce music, I don't have an expectation of, I'm going to create a track, or I'm going to do this or that or the other thing. My only expectation is that I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to enjoy being in a playful state. A lot of producers that I've seen they don't have fun when they're producing music. They get really stressed about it, and to me, that kind of defeats the purpose of doing an art form like this. I mean, if you're doing production, shouldn't it be because you actually love doing it? And if you're not having fun doing it, then why are you doing it? And everything that revolves around my approach to production exists to create this playfulness and make it as easy as possible. All the different pieces of gear that you see here exist solely to make my experience with music as playful as possible. I have all these knobs and buttons and faders so that I don't have to get in my computer, so that I can be continually in a child mode, exploring and playing on all these different devices without ever getting bogged down by menus and interfaces and whatnot. We'll, on that note, I guess, get into some of the examples. And for the rest of this workshop, basically, I'm going to be going through a whole bunch of different ways in which I play and explore with music, things that work for me. Especially when I do my live show, it's all improvised on stage, and there's many moments where I have creative blocks and I don't know what to do, but there's a dance floor and I have to keep music going. So there are various things that I do in order to force myself to get into that play state. And my hope essentially is that one or more of these many different things I'm going to talk about and show you guys will be useful for you, and that you will say, oh my God, that looks like something that I could do, and I want to do that when I produce. And if that happens for you guys, I would be stoked. And yeah, on that note, let's get to it. I'll basically get a bunch of beats going and then just produce stuff over it using a variety of different ways. And if at any point something is unclear, please stop me and ask me. Don't take the one thing I'd like you guys not to do is to ask me questions that are unrelated to what's going on here, because we've got a lot of material to cover. I'd be happy to talk about anything else related to production afterwards. But for questions for the workshop, keep it related to the material we're talking about in here. Any questions before we jump into it? Yeah. Sure, yeah. Yep. Yeah, there'll be points in times where we'll get into that. And we'll create a track at the end all together as well. and that'll be fun. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, so I guess on the note of being playful and exploring, one thing that is really a really easy way to explore with software like this or any kind of hardware is to just have fun with knobs and faders. You don't even need to know what they do. You can just have fun and know that, hey, I turned this knob and that sound changed, and that sounded cool. I don't know what I did, but I know it sounds cool, so I'm going to go with it. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, does the sound that you're hearing, does it move you? Does it excite you? Does it emote? Does it create whatever emotion you want to create with it? If it does, you're successful. If not, you're not. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters at the end of the day. And also, did you have fun while doing it, or did you hate your life while that was going on? If you hated it all, that maybe you should reconsider. Yeah, so what I'm going to do here, sorry, I'm used to having more resolution, so this is a bit tricky, but okay. I'm going to just open up a new empty synthesizer here. And you guys don't need to know what I'm doing here to follow along. But if you do understand, oh, here we go. This should pop up. Oh, not an audio track, I want a MIDI track. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a house beat of sorts. Let's see. How is that? Okay, is that volume okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick one random note on my keyboard here. It doesn't matter which note I'm going to play. Let me just... okay, nothing else is playing. So... cool. And what I'm going to do now is with that one random note, I'm just going to mess around with knobs. That's all I'm going to do. Some of them, I actually know what these knobs do, so this won't be an example of just turning things around randomly and seeing what they do. But you can imagine if you didn't know what these knobs did and just turned them around and you heard the difference, you'd find it exciting in some capacity. And I'm just going to spend the next minute just jamming out with one note and this beat, and that's it. Oh, and one more thing before I get into this. One more really useful thing to do when you're producing music, especially if you're doing this thing that I like to do, which is to just play and explore and have that be the only thing that matters, that you're having fun and enjoying what you're doing, is in a digital audio workstation like Live, just hit that record button. And that way, it tracks everything you do. So now when I play and this beat is going and I'm just having fun exploring on these knobs, it's tracking everything that I'm doing, so that if I have this magical moment that just comes up in my exploratory state, I don't have to worry about recreating that later on because it's been saved and stored in my environment, and that way I can just have fun without expectations and know that eventually all the beautiful pieces of music that might have come out will be there. So here we go. Again, one note, having fun with knobs. So at this point, I've kind of found a groove that I like. So this might be where I start to begin about thinking maybe I want to make a track now. So I'd have this this thing going, and with something like Ableton, we can loop this thing. So let's just get that going. Where's the right spot? And begin to just have fun with it. Maybe add a new level of kicks. And just and so on and so forth. And the point of this exploration was that I just was having fun, playing with things, exploring the sound, building it out, and eventually there was this point where I hit this sound that I just really liked, and I liked the groove that came out of it. And the only reason that I found that was because I let myself play, and I let myself explore, and I let myself just have fun. And this is going to be the key that I keep like drilling again and again. Have fun, have fun, have fun. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? That's going to be the key. And fun is kind of subjective. Like maybe you've just been through a breakup and you want to like make something really sad that really like showcases your stuff. So it's not necessarily fun if you're getting that emotion out there, but you know, be real with whatever it is that you want to do, and just be aware of your state of being. Cool. So that's the first thing, just playing around with different knobs and faders and whatnot. Next thing I like to do, and this is all things that I do when like I'm in my flow and I have a creative block and I literally don't know what to do. One of these things I jump to. So one of these things is hit a note and play with faders. And sometimes, usually, cool things happen. Next up, picking 3 random notes. Just completely, like I don't have a very strong background in music theory. And what I've discovered in my time producing music is that if you do things that are considered atonal or dissonant in the Western tonal system, it can actually sound really cool and create its own environment after a while. It's just its own musical scale that works for whatever reason. And a lot of techno especially takes advantage of that and just creates weird dissonant worlds that kind of work despite being totally against the Western tonal system. So yeah, I'm gonna pick a different synth patch here that doesn't have this weird like changing of the pitch thing going on. All right, and what I'm gonna do is pick. Let's take off some delay. So I'm just picking these 3 random notes. This is the first 3 notes that I went to here, and same thing. I'm gonna pick a random beat here, do a different house beat, and my goal now is with those 3 notes, just make them work somehow, and just go for it. And this is kind of inhibiting in some sense because you're limiting yourself to 3 notes, but it's also very freeing because you have no choice but to make those 3 things work, which is why I do it when I have a creative block. So. Oh yeah, and I'm also playing with like a mod wheel here. Again, getting back into like having easily accessible things that you can touch to really, really fuck around with sounds in cool, interesting ways. Now recording it. So that's 1 second to re-record that. I hit that a little too soon. All right. So now that we have this thing going, we have these 3 notes that are repeating, and we know what's happening, which makes it easy to make the rest of whatever might happen around this happen because I'm limited to the same 3 notes. So now I'm gonna pick a bass patch of sorts. Make this go away. Where is it? Let's go with this one. I just, in playing that one note, I just liked how the groove sounds, so I didn't even bother going to the other notes in this bass line. And again, it's just playing, having fun, not worrying if it sounds bad. If it sounds bad, you know what? You got all day to make it sound good and just keep having fun and make it sound good. Cool, we'll stop this here. Okay, next thing that I like to do is, again, pick 3 notes at random, but instead of playing them in a sequence of sorts, to find harmonies that sound really cool. And then what I'll do is try to find like a sequence of, let's say, 3, 4, however many I want, just chords that work nicely together. And here, let's do that. Pick a piano kind of sound this time for that. Cool. So I'm just gonna like mess around on this on its own without anything. Just find a sequence of 4 chords that I think sound cool, and then once I've done that, we'll get a beat going and we'll record it in there and talk about how that's useful in different ways. Kind of like that. Let's just go with it. Now we'll see how we can get that going at the beat. So I'm not going to go with, I really like that riff, and that's what I would do if I was producing at home. But for a live environment, that's going to be a little trickier just because the harmonies move really quickly, so it'll be a lot harder to keep something. Oh, well, whatever. Let's just go with it. We'll make it work somehow. Because I just really like that riff. So one more thing to also note here is you might notice that this is all really raw and really rough. That's okay. My goal here is not to produce like really polished tracks. My goal here is to get music down quickly, just to have fun with it, get the ideas out, get the raw soul in there. I can always go back later and clean it up and make it actually sound good if I really cared about polishing it up. But you know what? Like for me personally, I'd never go ahead and polish stuff later. Like I don't care about that. I'm not producing music to be released on labels. That's not what I care about. If that's what you care about, maybe that's something you should take a lot of time to do. But really think about what it is that you want to do. Do you want to share music with your friends? In that case, why do you really care about mastering? Does it really matter? If you're, yeah, just keep in mind like what you're trying to do with your stuff. But yeah, being raw and not being perfect is totally fine. If the timing I wanted to get better, I can always go ahead and adjust like the MIDI clips later on, or do whatever I wanted. But yeah, so now that we have this riff going, I'm gonna do the same thing as before, get a bass line going, and I know the notes that are being played, so I know what my choices are basically in terms of notes. And you can always break those choices, but if you're like me and don't have a very strong background in the Western tonal system, this can make it a lot easier to just have your like, these are the chords at any given moment, and those are like the 4 or 3 notes that I can play at every given moment because I just know it'll work because that's what the harmonies are. So here we go. Also, I have a tendency to talk really fast. Can you guys understand me or should I slow down? I'm good? Okay. Oh, sweet. Awesome. Perfect. So there we go, that's just like a very quick riff. All I did was take like the bottom note of each of the chords and go with that. I think it works, I think it's cool. Liam approves too. Cool. Next up, using things that aren't keyboards to use as inputs. Maybe keyboards don't make sense to you. I can certainly say that for myself. I've been a drummer for 15 years, and things that are like more rhythmically oriented make more sense to me. Originally, I got this thing called the pad control in order to be able to play out live drums. And then I quickly discovered that apparently all my 15 years of playing the drum set the muscle memory does not translate into finger drumming. So I converted this thing to actually let me play scales on it. There's a piece of custom software called by a company called Native Control that does a lot of custom scripts for all kinds of controllers to turn them into magical devices. So if you're curious about what I'm doing here, remember the word Native Control. But yeah, so let's say I wanted to create a really fun bluesy track. Like I love blues music. I love electronic music. I want to make electro blues. I have no background in jazz theory. I don't know how to do blues scales. What can I do? Oh, I can use one of those nifty tools available to us to make things easier. Here, so what this tool lets me do is, here, let's just make sure I have a piano. Well, we'll stick with I'll pick a different bass line actually. All right. So I'm just going to hold this up for you so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Let's go down. So that's just a chromatic scale. And with this device here, I can pick any scale I want. So this is like a blues scale here. It sounds a bit weird, but it'll sound better once there's an actual beat going. So I'm going to slow this down a little bit so we can have like a slow, maybe 110 BPM electro bluesy thing. And it's going to be created entirely because I have this tool that lets me not think about scales at all and just be rhythmical and have fun with it. And again, it's the same thing, using a tool to let me be playful, let me bring my skills to the table to let me do cool stuff. Any vocalists out there? Maybe this can be the first of the... Okay, you wanna come up and sing in a little bit? All right, come stand over here. I'll let you know when it's time. On that note, another really useful thing is to take advantage of your voice, take advantage of your like instrumental skills. If you have friends that are really good violinists or whatever, and you think that what they do would be good for your track, ask them to play for you. Ask them most of your friends will be stoked at the idea of like helping out with the production of yours. And collaborations of that sort are awesome. It makes it more fun, generally, unless you're really bad at collaborating. Yeah, what's up? Do you have a guitar here? Is it an acoustic guitar or electric guitar? Maybe. Probably not. Probably not. If it was electric, I would be more inclined to say yes, because we could plug it in here and do neat things with it. But we'll say no for now. Thanks for your enthusiasm, though. I'm down to jam later if you want. Cool. I'll introduce you in a second once it's time. But yeah, so I'm gonna get a beat going. I'll slow this down, like I said, to 110 BPM. Cool. Now we'll get one of those same beats we had earlier going. And now I'm just gonna jam out on this thing and try to find the cool bluesy bass line that I like. Cool, and now what I'm going to do is take this a little bit higher up in the octave, pick a different instrument, such as this grand piano here. Give this mic over to this lovely lady. What's your name? La Rosa. Do you feel comfortable jamming out over some bluesiness? Cool. So here, you want to just have fun. Do whatever you feel inspired to do.
Like silk, water falling down my face. I gotta come up and trace every little last breath that you breathe. Oh, 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 oh.
Sweet, give it up for La Rosa, everybody. See, just like that, by having somebody who has a talent and inviting them to do something, I've created a much better piece of music than I ever could on my own. Because I don't have that kind of voice. Like, I could try to do it, but I really should. It's not that good compared to what she can do. And yeah, likewise, tools to make things easier for you go a long way. You know, if you really like jamming out percussively, something like this would be awesome for you. If you don't, if that's the opposite of what you do, something like this would be terrible for you, and don't go down that route. Really ask yourself, what is it that I like to do? What do I have fun doing when it comes to music? And try to do research in that field. Like, I don't know, if you're a violinist and you really want to get into the electronic world, well, you know what? There's lots of electric violins out there that can control synthesizers in really awesome ways. Every single thing that you are good at, in our world, there's things available to make in the music production world that'll excite you. I can guarantee it. Cool. For those of you who do use Ableton and don't want to get a piece of gear, there's a built-in MIDI effect. Question. If you were to plug in a guitar, there's a number of things you could do. One, you could just record it as is, like the way that I'm recording this mic right now. Just plug it in there. And Ableton has things has amplifiers to let you alter the sound. There's also pieces of software out there that will take the actual sound and convert it in real time into MIDI to let you control any synthesizer. I forget some of them are really good. I forget what they're called, but if you do your research, you'll find it for sure. And there's also MIDI guitars as well, so you could straight up just play MIDI into a synthesizer, into whatever. Cool, yeah, so for those of you who use Ableton and want to do something like this, easy, like blues or whatever scale you want thing, Ableton is a MIDI synth, the MIDI effect called Scale, which will basically do the same exact thing. So what I'm going to do now is drop in front of this grand piano thing here, this Scale tool. I'm going to just find the blues just because we were doing that right now. And drop it in right here. And disable it immediately. And now I'm just going to walk up the 1 octave here. And now I'm going to re-enable it and do the same exact thing. And it automatically will, what this tool does is it'll automatically take your notes and play the closest note in the scale to it. So that now I could like... I'm just mashing my keyboard here. I'm making relatively cool sounds, and that's like another really easy way to produce music. Just, you know, if you had a bigger keyboard, maybe you could do more interesting things, or just jump around an octave. Is that a question or a stretch? Stretch. Okay, all good. Yeah, so that's available if you have Live already and want to use that. Another really nifty tool that Live has is called the chord, which will take your one note and turn it into pretty awesome sounding things. So now, here, I'll disable it. Here's my one note, and now here's with the chord enabled. And already I can make these beautiful chords. So let's make some house music real quick. We'll just get Here, what I'm going to do is just get a bass line going first, and then I'm going to bring in this chord tool over that and just see how quickly we can create a really cool house beat. And there we have like this thing that just happened because this tool exists to let us do nifty things. And then we can mess around with the tool and just change the actual, again, just playing around with random faders here. Go back. And you know, we'll hit weirdness as we explore, but then we'll hit some cool stuff. Cool. That's it on that front. Last two things I'm going to talk about before kind of opening up the table a little bit more. First, this is a $50 plastic thing that looks like a toy, but it's a fully fledged synthesizer. It's called a Monotron. Having a little hardware device is a really easy, fun way to really do some really, really neat stuff. Here. Now, this form of exploration, now I'm just going to pick a random beat again, maybe go with something a little bit more techno-y, less housey. Let's say this thing, see what that sounds like. Nope. I like this. Increase it. Cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, this kind of goes back to the very first thing that we did, which is exploring knobs. Let's just enable this track. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. And you can see on there the frequency of this thing. This has, for those of you curious, it's got a little strip down here, which lets me control scale with that. And it's super precise, as you can see. And then it's got 5 knobs to let me shape that sound. So what I'm going to do now is play with this and just sculpt some sound that I think goes well with this beat and just have fun with it. And so on and so forth. Cool. Oh yeah, last thing. Effects units are a lot of fun. People use them for all kinds of things, but one way that can be used for production is to generate cool new sounds with them. So I'm just going to play that same beat that was just playing, or I don't know which one it was. Let's just see. Cool. And I've got this effects unit lets me do all kinds of stuff like that. I use it live a lot to play around with sound. But you can also fuck around with the sound in all kinds of ways. Let's stop that for a second. And then if you record the output of like an effects unit of this sort, you can generate all kinds of sounds really quickly that would take so much longer to do normally. So that's another cool thing that you can do. Cool. Any questions so far? Yes. Can you do it louder? I can't hear you. No, those all came built in with Ableton. All my drum tracks are built in with Ableton. The only drums that I do myself are things that I do live when I perform. Any other questions? Cool, so let's create a track together. Yeah, what? Was that just an excitement? Okay, yeah, it was excitement. Good reaction. Cool. What I'm basically gonna do is just do one of these things that we've just been talking about doing. Anybody here have a preferred thing that they want me to go with for a track? Heavy bass. You want heavy bass? Okay. Okay. So the way we're gonna start this track is by exploring synth sounds and building a heavy bass line, and that'll be how we start this track, and then we'll go from there and see where it goes. And again, my goal here is to have fun. We might not create an awesome track, and that's okay, as long as we have fun. If we all had a poopy time here while I was doing this, then that's not okay. But if we all had a great time, then it doesn't matter if we didn't have something awesome at the end. That's just what I have to say, so that if this does suck, you guys don't hate me. JK, it'll be awesome. Okay, so heavy bass line is what he wants, so that's what we're gonna do. What kind of BPM you guys feeling? You want something fast, something slow? Slow, okay, so slow with heavy bass line. Okay, let's do that. And let's find a beat first that we like. Say it, what? Okay. Say that again? Go with the rain. Okay. We'll try. How's this for like a vibe to make our track out of? You guys feel? I see some head nods. Okay, we'll go with this. Okay, so now I'm gonna create some kind of heavy bass line. You know what? Because we've just been playing with this. Let's use this as our bass line. Is that heavy enough? You guys are asking too much for something we're going to make in 25 minutes. You only have 25 minutes left here. There it is. Yeah. All right. And the tricky thing about this thing here is that there's no real like keyboard to play, so this pitch won't necessarily work with everything else, but with synths, there's dedicated knobs for pitch, so we can tune it to this bass line if things sound off for whatever reason. So let's just find a bass line first that works, and then we'll go from there. Oops, I was looping in the totally wrong spot. That's why it didn't record. All right, here's the right spot. Let's try again. All right, and what I basically do when I produce music is, when I'm producing music like at home, not in a live environment, is I create all the different components that I want to have. So right now we have this bass line right there, we have the beat, and we'll create everything else for all the different parts. And then once I have them all, I kind of do a live arrangement where I bring the different parts in and out. Sometimes like I'll have like a part that I play live as well over that, or a friend with me who's singing or whatever. But yeah, that's just so you guys know what the general approach is, at least when I produce music. And like I said before, if anything that I'm saying doesn't work for you and you don't like it, don't take it. Just take what works for you from what I'm talking about here. All right. I'm gonna stick to this guy because it's got the weird pitch thing, and we'll try to find some kind of higher pitch thing that works well. I have a patch already set up here that's got built-in delay and reverb that works well with this guy, so we'll just use that and see what we can come up with. Does this sound kind of rainy? A little bit. Do you guys like these kind of sounds? All right, lots of head. No, okay. We'll use this then. Cool. So now is one of those tricky parts where it's just like, okay, we got something that sounds kind of cool, but how does this become a track? Right now it's just this like loop that's going on, and that's where the whole like just play and have fun part comes in. So I guess with tracks, when I'm trying to make a track, one thing that's important for me is to have like movement and for things to change. So this would be either like. Let's just make this. This is gonna be like our point in the track where like it's just gonna be groovy and chill, and we're gonna have like a build up leading up to this somehow. So how to do that? Anybody have any suggestions? Great, I have to come up with it. Awesome, guys. Okay. Cool. So and one more thing before we do that, I kind of would like to have like a hi-hat to going over this. So I'm gonna see first of all if I have anything of that sort ready to go. Oh yeah, any beatboxers here actually? Anybody want to come give me like a really nice hi-hat rhythm that we can just record? Come on up, yeah, if you want to do it. All right, this is the next part of the track. So we'll get a new audio track right next to here, and we will external in. Hello. Hello, why is this? Oh, there we go. Hello. Now we'll stop this mic. Now we should hear ourselves. Hello. Hello. Okay, there we go. Here we go. So just go for it, and just whatever you feel is good, go for it, and just try to keep it like a faster thing that'll. All right. So I'm just gonna leave that as is. It's a how long? 6-bar loop, which is a bit weird, but it works, and it means that it'll keep changing the flow a little bit over time. Cool. Now next thing I want to do is, because this is going to be like the point where we're just going to be grooving after a big build up, I want to find a different beat to kind of bring us into here. So, and for the song to be cohesive as a whole, whatever beat happens at the beginning should also work with this. So I'm just going to see what other beats I can find here that work well with this groove we have right now. Woo! Wrong button. Completely wrong button. Sorry about that. Here. Let's get these things going. All right, now we'll get the right button. All right. So This is what we had before. Now, nope, too heavy. I think okay. This works as an intro. It's kind of like a little mellower. Cool. Cool. Now what I'm gonna do is I want to find a bass line that is different from this one, but will lead well into this one, and that's important because we want to have movement. It's got to lead well into it. So let's grab this monotron again. I'm just letting this play for a little bit. Oh man, I have to figure out what settings we had on here. That's the downside of a totally analog system. That if you want the same sound, you got to find the exact knob parameters you had before. But should be pretty straightforward. Let's see, that should work. Does that sound like the same thing? It's close enough. So how about this? Maybe let's just see how this sounds when it switches from this, like just this like. And the reason the bass line goes up and down, by the way, is because I have something set up so that every time a kick hits, it drops the bass, so that on subwoofers on big systems, you can really feel that kick and not have different frequencies muddle each other up. Technical thing for those of you who are curious. But yeah, what I want to do is just all of a sudden switch from this to the other beat that we usually have with a different bass line and just see if it flows or not. Let's just see what happens. Did you guys like that? Okay, so we'll go with that. This will be like our intro. And let's find a different. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just let this play for a while and record just a really long exploratory bit with this guy here, doing the same kind of sounds that we did before. Let's just find the other patch that we had, and let me just see where this ends up. So that kind of sound is what I want this to end on, so that the exploratory bit brings us right into that. So let's hear that again. Okay, so let's find that sound again. Cool, okay, there it is, okay. So now what I'm gonna do is just have fun with this for a while, and maybe record about a minute of material and bring it to this point, and we'll see how it goes. All right. So what I'm gonna do now is this is just gonna be our material. Let's just pretend this is gonna be our full track. And what I'm gonna stop the big recording that's been taking place, start a new one, and just bring in all the different parts in real time, and we'll see what this track sounds like that we've just made together. but I needed your guidance. We didn't have any rules at all in this thing. There was no formula. We just went with the flow and had fun with it, and that's my approach to production. Just have fun, see what happens. If it works out, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And yeah, no rules. That was the first rule. All I did there was just delete everything that was recorded so that we would record everything anew. But here we go. Let's start with just here. So I'm going to have fun with this, and I'm going to start with just the second bass line and slowly bring it up in volume, and then kick in the drums at one point, and then it'll start that like fluctuating thing when the kicks kick in. And then we'll bring that intro in, and then we'll switch from that into the boom, 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 boom bass line bit with all the other good stuff. And yeah, we'll just have fun and see what happens. Cool. So I liked how that flow. But what I would do now, after hearing all that, is when the second bass line came in, it just didn't have anywhere near as much oomph as the first one. So I'd want to re-record that or manipulate it in order to have it kind of match the energy levels of the first thing. So it isn't kind of like oh, where did the energy go when that came in? Because that's going to be like the big part where everybody wants to be grooving out. And it worked great when it's on its own, but compared to the first part, there just wasn't anywhere near as much energy. And that's something that can be changed. And that's what arranging it like this lets us do. Okay, we had to listen through, it worked great this one time. Now this is what I want to do differently, so let me create a new recording of that bass line. I'm not going to do it now because we have 5 minutes left. And I want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions that you might have, if there are any. Are there any? Nope. One question, yes. Yeah, it is, yes. Cool. I hope you guys had fun. I had fun. Oh yeah, question. To get the loops happening, you mean? So Ableton Live has all these channels. You can have one thing going at a time. And you can do it by hitting this play button here. So I could put this play, and that's the bass line on its own. Or you can hit play elsewhere, and it'll play a different thing in the same thing. And what I've been doing is I have this dedicated controller here. So can you guys see that like red line thing there? That's here, like this red line. That's this box that goes around. That shows me where this device here is. And you guys can see how there's those 5 colored lights. Those 5 colored lights correspond to the 5 clips that you see there. So when I press one of them, it'll launch the appropriate thing. And that's what I've been doing over here. And I have 2 different pieces of gear that do this kind of thing. This is dedicated for all my like live harmonies and melodies and bass lines, and I have faders so I can adjust stuff on the fly. And then I have a second one here, which is the same thing but minus the faders, and this is for all my drums. So I have a dedicated controller for doing drum stuff and a dedicated controller for doing other stuff. Questions? Any more questions? Yes? Oh, just now? So the intro, all that was I played this bass line, and I just brought the volume up slowly.
Oh, I mean, when you brought in the next track, when you brought in the track to the right, there was like that.
This one here? You're talking about that whole sequence that's happening right now? I'm just not 100% sure what it is. Oh, okay, yeah. So one thing I didn't mention that I was doing, I had this effects unit that I talked about at the beginning that I've been playing with. So what you're probably talking about is when I did something that sounded akin to this. Yeah, so that was just live effects over what was going on elsewhere. This is a device that is very integral to my sets because I do this like live looping fun approach to transition from one segment of music to another. I often will have like something like that. Cool. I think we have 2 minutes left. So time for one more question if there's one more question. Yes.
Where's the bass?
The bass is on the main stage and Sleigh Bay and the radio stage. Okay, so last thing I want to mention, I'm teaching another workshop tomorrow on how synthesis works, and that's going to be a very fun, silly, goofy, trippy thing with a Fungineers-inspired character that I've built. And if you guys like being silly and trippy and fun and learning about sound, please do stop by. It's 4:30 tomorrow in here. And if you've liked everything that you're seeing here and are curious about seeing me at some point perform live, I go by This Is Sammy. That's all one word, lowercase. Sammy is spelled S-A-M-I. And I'll be playing at various festivals over the coming months. Yes. What, can I play you a glorious train wreck? Play you out with a glorious train wreck? I don't even know what that means. Okay, I'll try. I'm not 100% sure what you mean. But let's... All right, you guys ready? Oh my god. Oh no, it's train wrecking. Oh no! Oh no! What's happening? It's a train wreck! Is that good? Thank you guys. I had a great time and I hope you did too. You're welcome.